thank you again for being here. Those of you who are new to my channel, those of you returning, I appreciate all of you. And I am just blown away and so appreciative. Just want to say thank you to everyone for the tremendous response I got from my first installment of the changes with Hobby Lobby. Your comments, your thoughts, your feedback, all the thumbs up, all of that is so helpful and informational for me, knowing what's happening around the country with Hobby Lobby. And in addition to it, really does help support my channel. So I made notes. I came prepared like a good Girl Scout because I wanted to stay on track and make sure I remembered everything. Yesterday, it was Thursday, April 6th, I was back in the city and I went to see if I could find out anything more or different. Some of the information is the same, some is hopeful, and some is conflicting with what I shared in my first video. And the feedback from you, what we are all seeing in our stores around the country. And I'm a researcher. I like to dig deep. I like to get answers and find out. Then today I called the main Hobby Lobby customer service number, and then I followed up to their corporate office to see if I could get some clarification. They were both very nice, but very vague. Customer service didn't have any information, which I thought was odd, other than the changes are throughout all of the stores. Corporate told me to call customer service, which I already did, and also suggested I email with any concerns, which I'd actually consider doing, and especially after all of your comments and feedback, really in a way for all of us collectively from around the country. And I was going to include a link to my first video so the powers that be can see the tremendous response and read your comments for themselves, so it's not just me, talking. And I may still do that, but first I'm going to wait to see what the new layout is, what it's like, and what they bring in to replace what was eliminated, what's been downsized, what's actually being expanded. And they are well on their way to do that, but it's pretty obvious there's quite a bit of work ahead. So if you stick with me here in this video, I'm going to break down a few specifics that I learned and address some of your concerns and questions some of you had regarding certain craft departments. Okay, so just to give you a preface on the area, the size of the store, I shop the Hobby Lobby store in North Spokane, Washington, and Spokane is the biggest little city around east of the Cascades. And our store is huge. It's huge. It's over 66,000 square feet. And the person I talked with seemed very knowledgeable and seemed to have a very good sense of the changes and why. All right, so number one, yes, the changes are nationwide, but with that being said, based on your feedback, what my store carries, the size of it as mentioned, it does seem to me the amount of stock varies with different store, how much, and even some of the products they have in, because different items naturally are going to do better in some areas than they do others, as with most consumer goods. I mean, even food, clothing. In say South Florida, they are not going to have an abundance of year-round where you can buy down jackets and snow ski items and all that kind of stuff. And just as we're not going to have abundance of really lightweight, beachy, summery items, surfboards here year-round either. So no, they are not doing away with the yarn, or they're not cutting out any other craft department. Some sections are being downsized though, and there are two reasons for that. For example, the first, cards and party, they're downsizing because the demand has gone down. People email more than they send regular mail, and there's a big competition from dollar stores. So to me that makes sense, because why invest in and keep merchandise in any store that just sits on the shelf, taking up real estate? And even if you make and sell, after a while, you see what sells and what doesn't, and we all have to adjust that accordingly, no matter how big or small. And that would account for some of the discontinued discontinued items, which is always going to make some people unhappy. It seems like it's always my favorite or unusual item that gets on the chopping block, whether it's favorite food or a piece of clothing or a yarn. I don't know. I just guess I like unusual and odd things sometimes. That's the nature and the cycle of retail. It's all about supply and demand and what people are most into and when. And those of us who are into crafting and various types crafts tend to come and go. Like in the 90s, late 80s and 90s, rubber stamping was huge, and there were independent storefronts everywhere, all around the country. And then in going into the 2000s, around 2008, 2010, that all started to shift. Just the whole industry changed, went from the wood mount blocks to the acrylic blocks. And I could just see that with that change, then came the closing of many of the stores. And also with the big box stores like Michael's and Hobby Lobby, they scaled those departments down, and we're starting to see that in scrapbooking now too. However, my Hobby Lobby, at least, they have already added in their redo here, they have added more paper crafts, plus one more row than they had before. Okay, so the other reason for discontinuing is some of the items are difficult to get from their suppliers, or they're out of stock, or they're just not available anymore. And as a result, those shelves wind up staying empty, and sometimes for months and months at a time. So again, the shelving that's taken up by waiting for something that's not coming in when they could utilize that for other things. So those types of items have been discontinued, but she said they will be replaced with new. And the new store's layout will enable them to bring in more in some crafting departments, like I just said, with the paper crafts. And the yarn department is not downsizing, they're just bringing in new items. The DMC and the floss, that is staying. And regarding art supplies, the art books, what they're going to do is say, instead of having 3 books, instructional books, that are the same topic or that are just another variation of the same theme, they'll have 1, but then they're going to replace the others with 2 more that are different from each other. So that's going to give more variety, and that concept will carry over to other crafting departments. So perhaps having less of one particular item, or one item where you have all these variations of the same, they will have that one item, less of it, and then more variety of other things. What they are bringing in more of are seasonal items. She did not mention anything about home decor, but she did say seasonal because that is what people are buying right now. And when I'm in line at checkout, I do glance over and kind of scope out and check out what other people have. And really, that's the majority of what I see in people's carts, or are some of the home decor and the seasonal items. Not so much the furniture, but the combination of the other two. And some crafts, but what she said is true. So when the refitting of the store is complete and their shipments are in, which they are coming in, and there's one coming in this week in the yarn department. When it's out, I don't know, because they haven't even finished relocating their aisles yet. But when that's all in, I will be back and I will film the various craft departments to show what my store carries. And then I thought we can compare notes one more time to see what it's like in various places. Was my thought, is my thought on that correct, that areas, regions, size of store, demographics has a play, or are we all going to have the same stuff now? So I hope you're up for that. This is kind of a series here. I have the first update, now this one, and then we'll just finish up once they have the store completed. And you can see what mine has, and I would love to know how that compares to yours. I just hope in closing that the decision makers in corporate have some true crafters and artisans on their team. So they are going to be supplying what we enjoy working with. I think it would have been really nice had they sent out a survey to people, if you're on the mailing list, asking people their thoughts. And, I would really like to see quality. Not judging anybody else's taste at all. And I'm keeping most of my personal opinions aside and leave that up to you in the comment section. I'm just the messenger here, bringing you some information, but I miss that Made in the USA label a lot. And I think that's part of it, was when the big outsourcing started happening, we started losing a lot of that, and it's just taken over, and it's degraded the merchandise that we see. So anyway, lastly, it seems to me that in the last few years since the pandemic and shift of things, a lot of people got into crafts and started learning to crochet and went back to crafts they hadn't been able to do in a long time, and learning new skills, picking up what they love, and they're staying home more and crafting and passing that on to their children and their grandchildren. And whether it be handmade for themselves as gifts for resale or all the above. So I would like to see more and not less. And I think that would be wonderful if some more independent stores started to pop up and offer that and cater that to the people who really enjoy that type of thing, and that they look into other sources to get their materials from as well. All right, well, it is getting chilly and I have to go. So I thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Please come back again next time. I will have a tutorial up soon as I finish that, working on a new design. And these things take time, as I am pretty particular. All right, well, take good care, everyone. Okay, I'll see you next time then. Bye for now. And here's a little extra special entertainment for watching all the way through. Our neighbor's absolutely gorgeous bourbon turkey strutting his stuff just for you.